Hello and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID. Tonight we have a few things to discuss. The recent England game, obviously transfers, Darren Southgate's resignation, and the pre-season friendly coming up tomorrow, amongst other things. Tonight I have Mark Mod with me. How are you, Mark?
All is good, Adrian. All is good. Sun's out.
Yeah, it's been a nice warm day. I think people are
good.
Recovering from the disappointment of England versus Spain, and that's where we'll start. So, Mark, on the England-Spain game, did Southgate surprise you with the lineup? Was it as much as you expected?
It was much as I expected. Now, I got suckered into it Sunday. I wore an England shirt. I went out. I thought, maybe, but they never failed to disappoint me. You know, it's the same old. Disappointment all the way.
Yeah. I mean, I was disappointed as well, but it's sort of, in a way, resigned to it. You know, it's as if you expect that England are going to fall at the last hurdle, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know?
All the time.
Even though I went for a positive scoreline, a 3-2, I never really had that inner belief or confidence because Spain were the best team throughout the tournament, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, there's no arguments the best team won, right? And what did you think of it? I mean, like, even when we pulled it back to 1-1, did you have hope then, or?
Well, to be honest, where I was, it went crazy. Like when England, and I thought, now go for it, get the winner. But it never happened because you notice, as soon as we scored, it was sit back, play for the draw, play for extra time, play for penalties. So as soon as we scored, Spain was all over us. You know, it was so disappointing, it's been like that ever since Gareth Southgate's been there. I'm glad he's gone.
Well, his 8 years are over now.
I
mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, like, sitting back at 1-1, it's just like, oh, that's okay. Now, how you expect to go on and win a game? You know what I mean? If you do that.
You don't. It was just so disappointing. You know, because when we equalised, we were in the ascendancy, and you think, go on, go for it, get another one. But it's just the land. It's just the life of being an England fan. It's just more disappointment all the time. It's like I said, I got suckered into it Sunday. I put an England shirt on. I went to the pub. Never again. I'm not getting. No. It's been the same.
I stayed indoors and had a few indoors. Like we've only just started. Mark joined us. Great for you for turning up. Mod Soren's turned up. Sorry. Did you watch the game in a pub, Soren, or did you watch it indoors?
Sat on the sofa indoors. Can't remember the last time I went to the pub. So, just stayed at home and watched it. You kind of, like Mark said, you kind of started to believe, didn't you? You really thought it was happening then. But look, let's not. At half time, I sort of said to myself, we've probably lost this now because we're not going to have the same impetus in the second half as what we've had in the first half. Spain are going to come and play at some point, and that's what happened. But look, I mean, I'm not as negative as some people. We gave it a good chance, a good go this time, I think. You know, we were in it all the way through. And it's just, it's just the way it is, isn't it? It's just the way it is. Plenty of practice being a Spurs fan.
You get used to it. You sort of, it's going to take something extra special for fans to get, especially us ones in the Premier League more who hate the international breaks anyway, to get a real belief in England. You know, I mean, it's all got to be rebuilt now because confidence has been knocked badly again. I mean, you can't knock the man for getting to 2 finals, right? Southgate. All right, now he's gone. But I don't know how you can go into competition if you can't compete in midfield. I mean, if you can't compete in midfield, play long balls, put Tony on, put all your tall players on front, and just hit long balls over the top.
Mhm.
Even when Rodri went off, I thought, we're in this now, right? And we weren't. What was your take on that?
I mean, I mean, you know, when it came to start the second half and they said Rodri wasn't coming out, and you think, whoa, let's go.
Yeah.
And then they bring whoever his name was, and it kind of looked even better. And you just think, you know, I mean, look, it was one of those games where I made sure I didn't get caught up in the hype leading into the game and thinking there was only one result and blah, blah, blah. I said from the beginning of the tournament, from the first games, watching Spain, they were the team to beat. And you watched them, and as much as we kind of looked like we seemed to be getting a bit more possession, we never really looked like we were always going to score. Whereas every time Spain kind of came forward, you thought, oh no. I mean, Pickford, to me, was almost our man of the match, because if it wasn't for him, we'd have been 2 or 3-0 down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but that's go on, Mark.
No, well, it's like I said, like even the substitutions that were made, it was just desperation. It's just throw everyone on. You know, what I said right from the beginning, when England play someone good, they will get spanked.
Yeah, I don't think we got spanked. I think that's a bit harsh. I think we were the second best team, obviously, out of 2. I get that, but I don't think we were spanked. I felt it was one of those games that, do you look at it as though Spain were having a bad first half, or do you look at it as though we was controlling it a little bit more? And then the second half, they changed it up and they controlled it more.
Yeah, but over the whole game, they still had like 70% of the ball. You know, I mean,
Spain do.
Well, I know they normally do have that sort of possession, but like it was just lackluster. Can you honestly name one England player, apart from Pickford, that you could say played well Sunday? Because I can't think of any. Harry was anonymous. He shouldn't have even played. I had Champions League 2019 vibes. He shouldn't have even been on the pitch. He should be man enough to say, look, I'm not fit enough.
The thing with Harry, though, and look, I mean, at the end of the day, he's still one of the best strikers in Europe, if not the world. And if you've got that type of player, you play him. And if you look at the goals we kind of scored, or the goal we scored, it was almost, there wasn't, going back to Harry, there wasn't a lot of opportunity for him.
No.
That's the problem.
No.
You know,
that's the thing with England. That is the thing with England.
Yeah, we can sit and blame Harry all we want, but at the end of the day, football is a team game, and if the team doesn't supply your striker with the opportunities to score a goal, he's not going to score a goal.
No. I completely agree with you.
With Harry, he can create some goals himself, like obviously those that scored did. But you just look at it and you think, if you watch the Spanish team, if he'd have been playing for Spain, he'd have scored.
Shut up, though.
He'd have had several chances and he would have scored. Playing for England, he didn't have, I mean,
no.
Did he have a shot? I think he had
he had one that was blocked in the first half, I think.
You know, and this is the same argument when we go back, and I know people will slate me off for saying things like this, but when we go back to when we signed Soldado, you sign a striker that can knock the ball in the back of the net, but you don't give him the ball in the right places, so he doesn't score, and then we slag him off. It's the same with Harry. If you don't give him the opportunities, he's not going to score.
Well, with Soldado, he always played as a 2. He always played as a pair, and we signed him and we expected him to do it all himself, and he was never going to do that.
But if you go back and actually watch Soldado when he was playing for us, he made some incredible runs, and nobody ever passed to him.
No.
So therefore, he'd make these runs. He'd be 1-on-1 with the keeper with no ball, and you think, why have we signed a player with that kind of mentality, and then we haven't got the players to play with him?
Yeah, there was nobody on Sunday in the England team that can hold their head up and say, "Yeah, I had a good game," because none of them did.
No.
Harry Kane was anonymous. Jude Bellingham's massively overrated, in my opinion. Massively overrated. He did nothing. He did nothing.
I was going to say, somebody said Foden was man of the match, and it was like, was it?
I didn't realise he was playing. I didn't even realise Foden was playing.
Well, he did 1 or 2 bits early on, and then that was it. And then, like you said, Jude Bellingham, he is a talented lad. Let's not. But all the players that were playing for England are talented lads, but they haven't shown it in this tournament. Now, whether we want to blame Southgate or whether we want to blame the tactic, I don't necessarily, but I just think a lot of our players looked very, very jaded and tired. Now, whether that's because of the season or whether it's because of Southgate's tactics, we'll never know now. But
they're probably bored to death, to be honest.
I think, again, I'll probably get pellets for it, but I don't think Southgate's done a bad job. He's the only manager that's taken us to 2 finals, consecutive finals as well. And it's like we've said with our managers and things like that. Once you put that team on the pitch, it's down to them. You can't just blame the manager.
It's his tactics.
What I'd like to know is, seeing as we haven't performed, why aren't we blaming the FA? If it was Tottenham, we'd be blaming Daniel Levy. So why are we blaming Southgate and not the people above him?
Because they are faceless.
But
nobody knows who the FA is. Do you know anyone like the head of the FA? I ain't got a clue. I haven't got the foggiest.
Yeah, it's Fred and Eleanor. Fred and Alan. I can't even spell the fucking thing. He's only 2 letters.
You summed up the chances well, guys. My opinion, if you look at them games, we lack creativity because we didn't have a ball carrying midfield general. Right, that could dictate play at any time. You don't expect to dictate play all the game, but you expect to be more involved in it, And like I say, and then we got the equaliser, and we seem to think, oh, job done, sit back now. What?
Yeah.
Just wait for penalties or something like that, right? But you're right about the goal chances because what creative did we have? If you look, it took a wonder goal by Bellingham, an overhead kick, right, to get us into a game.
A desperate overhead kick.
A wonder goal by Saka. Right, and a wonder goal by Carlton Palmer to get us 1-1 level with Spain. Where's the creativity in the team? And yet the squad itself. You could take a front 6. You could probably get 2 front 6s in England time and juggle them around and do better, right? Do better with them. And you got to win the midfield battle. You got to win the midfield battle. You want to win football games. And football now is too robotic. Now I've been saying it for ages. And that's why I like handball, because it comes with its risks. But it's go for it. Football, you're going to be entertained, right? And all right, it will backfire and fans will go in a meltdown. But I'm used to our fans going in a meltdown. When they're not going in a meltdown, they're about
that other thing now. The most entertaining thing about Tottenham is the fans these days. The meltdown that some of them have, and you just think, Jesus Christ. And what gets me is the amount of fans that now we've come to the end of the first season, all thought Vicario was the signing that we should do. All thought Van der Ven was. A lot of these people coming out now that are saying this were not the people that were supporting them. These are the same people that were saying, oh, we've gone for the cheap option. We've gone for the cheap option. Oh, I knew it was going to be a great signing.
Yeah, you get all sorts of angles from the fans, though, don't you? It isn't just like... there's those that have a meltdown and those don't. You get all sorts of angles where people come and want to state their case of what they think's right and wrong and do their critique on what's happening. Right, Southgate's gone, guys.
Yeah.
So,
hallelujah.
Right, okay. Mark, then you go first. Who do you want? Do you want a foreign manager? Do you want an English manager? Do you want an experienced manager? Do you want a younger manager? I'll give my take on this last, as usual.
Now, this isn't Tottenham biased. Well, it possibly is. I'd like Pochettino. I guarantee you, if Pochettino was in charge Sunday, we'd have come a lot closer to winning it.
And Harry Kane would have started.
Well, yeah. No,
Anyone else, Mark? Anyone else?
That's my number one choice, but the FA don't normally do what every Englishman wants. But they normally get a yes man.
Carsley has been mentioned because he's done a good job with the under-21s.
They normally get a yes man in there.
Other English managers, what you're only looking at Potter and Howe, aren't you?
Well, allegedly, the Newcastle man, Eddie Howe, he's only just signed a contract with him, and I think Newcastle put a statement out saying no chance. But you know, I mean, if you look back through history, Brian Clough should have been England manager, but he wasn't because he wasn't a yes man. They want someone who, you know, he won't tell it as it is. He'll just toe the party line, say the right things in the press conferences. You know, the
argument is that Pochettino's a yes man. So I mean,
no, but
want Pochettino.
His style of football though was a lot better than Gareth's.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, they want someone who's got a good presentation, you know, good with the press, blah blah blah. It's all squeaky clean. You know, no baggage at all whatsoever. You know, and then you've got to find someone who's perfect, basically, and you know. And
well, that's why Harry Redknapp never got the England job either.
What's your take on a new manager then, Soren? You got any names?
I mean, I think. Well, I'm going to say I think we should go with the young manager, but we kind of did that with Southgate and people. I tell you who I would like to see, and it's just purely for the entertainment factor, would be Mourinho.
Or Conte. Or Conte.
No, I don't know if I'd want Conte because I mean, well, I suppose I think that there would be far too much negative football under Conte, but you sort of look at Mourinho. I mean, it's always nice to have an English manager in charge of, you know, whether it's England or whether it's Germany or Spain or whoever, have your national managers. I'll tell you another shout that I don't think's a bad manager, and I can't think of his name now, but the chap who was in charge of Forest.
Cooper.
Is it Cooper? The one who got sacked before this one.
I think it was Cooper, yeah.
I mean, he wasn't a bad coach.
Klopp's been mentioned as well, hasn't he?
Klopp won't come.
No, but he certainly mentioned.
Is the Ipswich manager English? I can't remember.
Well, I wouldn't know.
I can't remember. Perhaps you in the chat can let us know. Or
somebody like that.
Yeah. My take on the English manager, if the FA, I mean, more inclined to go for Lee Carsley, the under-21 manager, and blood him in. He's probably been bloodied there anyway. But to me, I think if you're wise and you're a young manager, you don't take the job.
No.
Because if you take the job for the World Cup in 2 years and you lose, that could end your career as a football manager, right? If you're someone in their, say, mid to late 50s taking the job, you know, or even early 60s, fine. You've earned your money and everything else like in the game, or should have. And like, it's not so much of a poison chalice. I just think it really is even for Lee Carsley. I think it's a poison chalice. Do I think he would take the job? I think he would jump at it because he's under 21 manager.
Yeah.
Right? And I think if the book comes out, I won't have a bet on it, but my money would be on him getting it. And it'll either be the best thing for him, but he's got to win the World Cup. I think he'd be forgiven if he got us to the final, semi-final first time around. But you've got to give these managers 4 years. You should be given 2 tournaments, in my opinion. Yeah. Whoever gets it should be given.
The thing is, I suppose, whoever comes in is coming in at the right time to have a set of players that are on the up rather than on the down.
Some of them are on the down, though. Some of them are on the down. Harry Kane's definitely on the down. Kyle Walker's another one on the down.
The thing is, like, we talk about Harry Kane, but you've kind of got a replacement in there for him, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got an Ollie Watkins, you've got an Ivan Toney, you've got a Cole Palmer, you've got these players that where those that are getting to the top of the game can be replaced. You look at our defence, there's no Maguire anymore, there's no blah, 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 blah. That they're all there for another tournament, or at least 2 tournaments probably. Your midfield, again, you look at it, Bellingham, I can't even think of half the names now, but they're all there for a couple of tournaments. Carrick's not a bad shout,
Well, what about then if I throw Lampard in? Or what about Lampard?
No, he's useless.
Okay, Mark, I think you made your point.
Even Chelsea didn't want him, and he's a legend now.
Yeah, but this is what gets me, and this isn't a dig at you necessarily, Mark, but, as a set of people in the whole, we want Southgate gone, Well, this is the new manager. Oh, we don't want him neither. It's like, we want Levy out, but we don't want so. We only want so. You can't do that. You either want them out or you want them in. And if you want them out, you have to accept who comes in. And then the problem will be half the people that don't want him, didn't want Southgate in, won't want him in from the offset. And we don't want
it. Depends who it is. I'd like someone to come in that will play exciting football, or at least have a style of football. Well,
I'm going to throw another name in a hat for you guys, because he's done okay in management, okay-ish. And our 21s have got a game in Spain against the Saudi Arabian team that is managed by one Steven Gerrard. Would you think Steven?
I thought you were going there.
Yeah, and I was just wondering if ex-England captain ticks a lot of boxes, not been greatly successful.
No, he's not had much managerial experience, is he?
He was successful north of the border.
At Rangers, was it Celtic Rangers, wasn't it? Yeah, I forget which.
Yeah, I was going to say he managed one of them, didn't he? I think it was Rangers. Was it Rangers?
Are you happy with a Gerrard, Mark?
Well, anyone's better than Southgate, so yes.
I think the thing with probably a Lampard or a Gerrard or an ex-player like that is they'll understand the fans.
Yeah.
This is why I think, like where this saying Zidane, to me, look, I'm not going against his credentials or anything, but I kind of look at it and think you have to have that person who understands the passion the English fans have got for that team. And that's why, in the sense, any national team manager should be a manager from that country. So, it's great if you suddenly get somebody who goes out and wins the cup, but you want that passion. You've got to keep that passion going, and this is the problem. It's not like club football where these fans, are sort of, once you're in it for life. Yes, you're always going to support your national team, but there are more people that will probably go off watching the national team than will go off watching their club. It doesn't matter what happens to your club. You're always going to support them.
Yeah.
If you're a football fan, you will always support them. England, you can be like, you're not going to support anybody else, but you can be like, yeah, I'm not as interested anymore. I've got my club football.
I've already started my research into my family tree. I'm hoping some Brazilian or something's in there.
Well, I'm quite lucky because I've got a dual nationality. So
have you?
Yeah.
I'm hoping to find Brazilian or anything.
Argentinian.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you think the FA will take their time over an appointment, Mark, or you think they're going to drag it out? I mean, it will go under the radar a lot because I think the transfer window is really going to hot up now, and the pre-seasons are really going to hot up.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, there's not. I don't think there's really a rush, is there? Because
no.
When's England's next meaningful game?
And then they'll have to go through. They've got to show that they're being professional, like go through the interview process, haven't they? They've got to do that. You know what I mean?
Well, to be honest, from what I've seen of the last few England managers, they've got to see how much bottom kissing he's going to do, because there's always a yes man, and it's always they will not get someone in. This is why Brian Clough was never England manager. Why people like Antonio Conte will never be England manager.
Yeah, but I suppose the thing is, you've got to look at it and think they took the chance with Big Sam and it backfired on them. You know, Big Sam was never going to be that kind of yes man. And what did he last? 2 matches, 1 match, 3 matches, whatever. But, you know, so you kind of look at it and think you've got to be careful with a national manager, because you don't want the ridicule and the, you know, and the bad publicity and things like that. I mean, look at some of the managers we've had, you know, Wally with the Brolly, and you know,
well, to be honest,
than that.
That's the British press, that because
but
the British press, they're maybe not so bad these days, but in the past, in the past, it's straight for the throat, for the throat.
I haven't got a lot of time for the press when they go. Look, England have got to two finals, so the press have had to curb their impetuousness. You know what I mean? To have a pop all the time, even though they've still been quite critical. Now, some of it is justified, the criticism. You know, attacks on his family are not justified, and things like that, though, by others. You know, no, I mean, like, so he's got a record, hasn't he? 2 finals. All right, he lost one. So if you want to be cruel, you can call him a loser. But who's the next one's going to do the same that he's done? And when I was talking about interviewees, right? You can only really do interviews if you've got 2 people willing to be interviewed for the job. I mean, like, and I don't know if you're a young manager. If you've got confidence in yourself that you think you're confident to take on the England job, then you should have confidence to take on a club job, and you wouldn't need it. Now, unless you're in a right, maybe like Steven Gerrard out in Saudi, he might fancy it. That's if the FA interview him. So we know that Carsley's well respected for what he's done with the under-21s. So we'll see. And look, when they start listing, let's be fair, you want to start listing Conte and Mourinho, right? Bookies want them on the list because they want people to waste their money, because they're some of these bets that come up on football, think, well, what a stitch up. The fans ain't mug enough to know that these 6 of these in this list have got absolutely no chance. You know what I mean? Why are you bothering? Like, you know?
Yeah.
So
thing is, though, I think if they offered it Mourinho, which I know he's just obviously signed for a new team anyway, but I wouldn't be surprised if he said yes. And to go against kind of what you're saying, you know, with the young managers and things like that, I don't think there's many people, if they're offered the England job, would turn it down. Don't matter whether they think it's their end of the career or what. I don't think there'll be many that would turn it down.
It depends on how much.
Well, no, I don't even think it counts to that, because it's never going to be the same as a club manager. But, you know, the prestige, if you are an English manager, then there isn't really much more that you're going to aim for than, same as the players, playing for your country, managing your country.
Yeah.
You know, I would be very surprised if the FA just went straight up to a player, or an ex-player, should I say, or a manager now, and said, this is the England job. Are you interested? I don't think there'd be many who would say no.
What about someone else? I don't even know how old he is. What about someone like Stuart Pearce?
That would be a no-nonsense one.
Yeah. That is someone I'd like to see in there, because if the FA were doing things that he didn't agree with, he'd be straight out with it. He wouldn't be, certainly not a yes man.
No. I mean, look, I think it's the same as we say with our club, you know, any support of any club. To me, whoever we name, we get behind.
Yeah.
And you give them the chance. And, you know, I know it's vastly different with a national manager compared to a club manager, but when you've got the pick of players that are English born now, then, or English nationals, should I say, before anybody has a go at me, English
I know
nationals.
what you mean. Sorry,
Yeah,
go on.
and it's an exciting time because there are some very, very, very good players out there
and there's a lot of up and coming ones as well.
Yeah, that are qualified to play for England, and this is why I think at the moment there wouldn't be many people would say no to the job, no matter who they are.
He was just one
And so-
explainer I could think of. I wonder if there's any more that you guys can think of from that.
And so what we're saying, and is just give it to Gaza.
No,
Get Gaza it.
no. Gaza is
A legend.
well, he is a legend as a footballer, but no, not as a manager. I don't even think he's got his badges, does he?
Probably not. Unless you can do them in the pub.
Yeah, no, I think there are certain people that you look at and would, you'll nod your head and think, yeah. And then there are other people that, for obviously obvious reasons and things like that, you would just say no to.
There's a shout.
No, he's had his chance.
Yeah, with his heart trouble and all that. He's got heart.
Yeah.
But again, he's a legend and he always will be. He's not. Look, I mean, if you're going to chuck Hoddle and then you start chucking names like Redknapp back in and things like that. But
well, what you do is if you wanted Hoddle back, you would shield him. So if you had Stuart Pearce as manager and Hoddle as assistant, doing all the innovative tactics and stuff like that, I think Hoddle's experience should be used in some capacity with the FA, with the England side, because I just think he's brilliant tactically. He's innovative.
I was going to say, like, the last thing I saw Hoddle doing was BT Sports, whatever it was, whatever it's called these days.
The thing is with people like Hoddle and look, they've been out. I know they're on the sidelines doing punditry now and again, but they've been out of the game for so long, and we are not playing the same game as we used to do. And look, Hoddle will always be a legend. He will always be that player that we always want back in our team. But I think people like Hoddle, Redknapp, and them sort of names, that they're in the past now. Let's move on. Let's give it to a Potter. Let's give it to a younger manager, a Pochettino, if we've got to. But again, is Pochettino the right type of player manager? Because to me, Poch is one of those that builds a team over a period, and England are sort of wanting, almost like we would say, a Conte, where you are a manager that could win now. And you look at when you look back over the last few seasons, Potter has been quite an intelligent type of manager. And to me,
he did work with Brighton.
Yeah, I think he deserves.
He's fantastic with Brighton.
If you watched him at Brighton, he did things. He would change his system. He would change his style. And at Chelsea, you got Poch in there. Poch was just as bad as Potter to start with. Yes, he turned it round. Maybe, that shows that he's maybe a more, I won't say a better manager, but a more, what's the word?
Tactically inept?
Yeah, he's a bit more experience. He's been there for a bit longer. He's been to some big clubs now, and he's showing that he's learning and he's progressing. To me, a Potter and Eddie Howe, that's the type of manager that you kind of want to come in. I
don't see Pochettino even wanting the England job, to be honest with you. I think if he doesn't get cut by Bowley at Chelsea eventually, he's either going to end up at Man United or back at Spurs. I think he really thinks
he's gone from Chelsea.
Sorry?
He's gone from Chelsea, hasn't he?
Shit. What am I, brain fart here?
He's going to say he's
that
gone.
was like 6 months ago.
Shit. Brain fart. My apologies. Just going through my head. Right. So, yeah. So, I mean, I always saw Poch going to Man United or coming back to Spurs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, look, as sexy as it seems, Poch coming back to Spurs and unfinished business, I don't think he'll ever manage Tottenham again.
I don't want him there whilst Daniel Levy's there.
Oh, I don't
If
think
Levy goes out,
I don't think, to me, it doesn't matter whether Daniel Levy's there or not.
Oh, it makes a lot of difference if Daniel Levy's there or not.
No, it doesn't, because the circumstances are so much different now to what it was when he was managing before. The thing is, you say that it's the same as everybody. Well, if Levy goes, who do you want? And then everybody goes and picks this billionaire, and it probably isn't going to be somebody who's going to splash the money about. This is the thing. There aren't many people that are going to come in and, due to not FFP anymore, but blah, 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 then, these type of owners are not there to come splashing the money anymore. We could get somebody like, that, I can't remember his name, but him who took over Portsmouth and just bled all the money out of it.
The Russian guy, yeah.
Yeah, you could get anybody that just comes in and literally sells everything off and leaves us with no club at all. But then, everybody that wanted Levy out, are they going to be happy? No, they'll be moaning about that. The only time most fans are going to be happy is if we suddenly got an owner like Man City that could throw the money about and is happy to throw the money about, and Abramovich, who it's a toy. But these type of managers, these type of owners are not allowed to come in anymore. They're not.
No, I was going to say, you're not allowed to do that these days. No. Just throw your money about as,
Well, not under the new rules. The new rules change. I mean, like,
the thing with this one is he's been mentioned before, and I don't think the Argentinian link is quite the same as what it would have been, back in the early 2000s, late 90s. If he's the right manager, then I would think the FA would take him. But I don't think the FA will go down the line of taking a non-national manager again. Yet. They will in the future, but not at the moment.
All right, then I think we've pretty well covered that, and we'll wait for any breaking news.
The answer to this one, Stavely, and that's already gone, hasn't they?
She's gone.
Yeah, and
I don't know why she's gone. Maybe they think she's done, because I heard that rumor about Newcastle owners wanting to sell. I think because now they can't just move in and spend the 36 billion they're worth, right, or as much of it as they want to. They don't like it, I mean, people with money, they like to break as many rules as possible.
I think those people came in expecting to win something very quickly.
Yeah,
and they can't. And Newcastle in the same situation as like other clubs, and other clubs will always say, no, we're not restricted by the new rules, but they are. And basically, what it is, it's whatever your total revenue is for that year, less your total football-related expenditure. You take one away from the other. Right, so that'd be wages, outstanding money you owe on transfer fees, agents fees, blah blah blah, and all that. And say with Spurs, if Spurs 549 million they earned, if their total football-related expenditure, because 251.1 million was on wages, we owe 308 million on outstanding transfer fees and agents fees, so you'd have to take a fifth of that off, 20% off of that off. So if you got it down to say 349, then you'd have 200 mil left, right? Now you could, under the new rules, you can spend in Europe, because in the Premier League it's 5% more. You can spend 80% of that. So we would, in theory, be able to spend 160 mil, right? Which is a lot of money. Now, it's a lot of money if clubs you're buying players off of don't demand hefty down payments. Because in theory, you could buy five 60 mil players, put 20 mil down on each. You've only spent 100 mil. And we've averaged.
I don't think it works like this. I mean,
it probably doesn't.
I get, where you mention it a lot, and a few other people on YouTube have mentioned it a lot like that. To me, if your player is 60 million and you put 20 million down, as far as our accounting goes, it's 60 million because you've accounted for that for the next so many years. So if we've got 150 million to spend and we buy, say, Eze at 50, we've got 100
left.
Yeah,
100 left.
Under the new rules, you can sign a player for 8 years, 10 years if you want, but you have to pay the transfer fee over 5. Yeah. So when I mention, let's keep it simple. Say we only owe 300 mil on transfers, right, and agents fees, and we take 60 mil off of that. So add to the 251.1 in wages, blah blah blah, all other football-related expenditure, tours, away game, blah, blah, and all that shit, right? Then if you went out and bought, so you've took 60 million off of that, so now you've got 240 million to pay off over the next 4 years, right? Hang on. But if you bought 5 players in there at 60 mil and you put 20 mil down on each, you owe 40 mil on each of those 5 players, right? That's 200 mil. That 200 mil would now be added to that 240 mil, which you've took 60 mil off.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
This is why it's squad cost ratio. This is why it's ratioed against debt, against whatever. It's to stop clubs like Bury going skin, and I think it's an excellent idea, right? I don't know how the rules apply, because although these new squad cost ratio rules are supposed to be brought in, there is also supposed to be, because of the complications of accountancy, a sort of transition period. So I don't know how much leeway is going to be given to clubs to change over, or whether it's just straight in now. That's it.
Well, the thing is, though, Adrian, it don't matter whether it's straight in or not, because there'll be a loophole. There's always a loophole, because the people in charge cannot wipe their own asses with toilet paper. You know, there's a lot of people that would buy a £50 sheet roll of toilet paper and still put the finger through. You know what I'm saying? That they cannot. They couldn't manage a piss up in a brewery, these people. So if
they've spent over 30 million taking clubs to court over all this financial fair play.
I mean, the thing is, if they said, right, it's now written down that every club has a maximum of 200 mil to spend, full stop. You would have a Chelsea or a City or somebody would go out and spend 220, and it's because they've done something that we haven't wrote that down in the rule. All these rules. I mean, as much as we slate Daniel Levy off, if FFP had come into play properly, he'd have been a genius. But because of all the loopholes, it's now making him look.
I've never slated him for his business decisions.
No,
he's.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. It's one of those things that doesn't matter what the rule is. You're always going to have a club that will bend it, and then I mean, look at this is what I don't get. So Everton have bent the rules, Forest have bent the rules, Leicester have bent the rules, and they're all they've already been penalised. City have done it 115 accounts. Chelsea have done, allegedly, sorry, and yet nothing's happened. Why is it that they can come down on clubs like Everton so quickly?
Well,
come down on City.
We're waiting because Man City got 115 charges, and we're waiting on them to be charged, right?
But when's it going to happen?
It's happening this autumn. That's when they're being dealt with. I think it's November.
The thing is, this is from last season, same as Everton's. So Everton have had their 6 or 8 points deducted. Well, why haven't City already had? Why is it taking? I know it's a lot more complicated and there's a lot more chat, but by the time you've got it, if it comes in next season, they've still won 4 in a row.
I mean, you didn't hear about City, did you? I mean, City were said they wanted time to build their case to answer all these charges, right? Yeah. Fair enough. You've got to allow a defence, to be able to defend themselves, right? But then they also, a few weeks back, didn't they? They were taking the Premier League to court, trying to get off a preemptive strike by saying, well, this is restriction of trade, which is against European law, blah, 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 and all this. We haven't heard nothing from that. Now, whether that's gone to an upper court or it'll go to the Supreme Court, I don't know if it goes that far with football. I don't know. But we'll see. And you can bank on one thing that, you can bank on one thing that the new Labour government will bring in a football regulator. They will, right? And I think that'll be good for football. And if other rich owners think, oh, I'm leaving, well, go. We don't need you as far as I'm concerned. Because even if rich owners go, there's so much money comes into football now through sponsorship, TV money, advertising, blah, 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 that these rich owners can go and do on as far as I'm concerned. If they just want to come and cheat, really. They just want to come and be allowed to cheat, to look good, then...
these rules haven't been in for because when Abramovich bought Chelsea, were the rules in then? No, I don't think they were. So
I don't know what, even from when Spurs Stadium opened in 2019, I don't know what the financial fair play rules were then, because we weren't talking about that then. You know what I mean? So much there was rumours about dodgy deals and all that, but it wasn't brought to the surface, brought to our attention, really, you know.
Didn't it kind of started sort of, obviously it goes back to about 2019, doesn't it? If you look at sort of, it came in last season and you've gone back 3 years, then that kind of takes it back to 2020, 2019 sort of time. So, but I suppose with the problem with obviously COVID and closed stadiums and things like that, that you know, there's bits of leeway maybe there. But I mean, yeah, Everton did admit the guilt, and this is the thing. But you look at it and think, if they'd have said not guilty, there was a deadline put in, and it would be sorted a week after the season closed. Well, to me, there is no sign of when anything's going to happen against City or against Chelsea.
Or Chelsea.
The thing with the Chelsea thing, which is a good point you raised, Soren, is that they haven't been charged yet.
No.
They haven't even been charged. And the reason for that is because there's the rumours were going around. There was an article in the Times about Chelsea. There was one in the Guardian about Chelsea. And there's been so much wrongdoing under Abramovich there. Payments made from offshore companies, blah, blah, blah. There was one woman executive there was given like, we're talking like 6 or 7 figure money or loans to buy her own home. There was talks of when Spurs were in for Willian, that money was paid by an offshore. I mean, these are all rumours and speculation, but if they've come from the Times and Guardian, whether you are, you know, more,
there's something to them.
Yeah, there's something to them. These reporters would dig. You know what I mean? They'll have quality reporters, whether you agree with their political allegiances or not. You know, so like, and it's sport. So I think Chelsea are really going to get hammered. I think they're going to get really battered. Once, and the reason they haven't been charged yet, because I think the can of worms is so big. I think it's so big.
Yeah, but is it going to be bigger than City's? I mean, all I see happening is the rules will keep changing and keep changing and keep changing to the point where the FA can't go back and charge them with anything.
In Europe, there was like a statute of limitations on how long you've got before you can't charge clubs with financial irregularities. And Man City got away with one. Now, we know, I mean, not proven, but we know there are companies, Saudi companies from their group that have sponsored that club for extortionate amounts of money. You wouldn't get deals like that anywhere else. And money's been pumped in. Now, we know now there's no statute of limitations with the Premier League, right? There's no rule in place. They may introduce one to save themselves grief in the future. But so City, if going on what Europe couldn't do, and they were really upset about it, they will get done. And like, I can see them. I can see the title. I can see Man City winning the league and having it taken away from them. I can see them getting. I can honestly envisage City and Chelsea getting relegated.
No, I can't.
So we're second then.
Fair enough. That's just an opinion, but I mean, like, yeah.
I don't think the FA have got the balls to go that far. I really don't. But the thing is, I mean, we say, well, they're going to get the title taken off them. And as much as that can happen on paper, and in 10, 20 years' time, it won't recognise that Chelsea or City say have won the league this season or next season. All the fans that are alive are still going to know that City won the league and the thing. You know, you don't take it away from people's memories. You just annihilate it from the paperwork. Now, you know, if we take away, say they win it this year and we take away, and it was 5 in a row, is anybody going to sit there and think, oh, bloody hell, what did City, when did City win it? No, because they've won the last however many bloody trophies over the last 10 years. It doesn't matter to them losing 1 trophy or 2 trophies, or, I mean, like I said, I don't see them being relegated, but if they do get relegated, it's not going to take them long to come back up, is it?
I think they've won 7 out of the last 10. But you take the Abramovich, just read between the lines on this, right? Now, the government stepped in because he's supposed to have all these companies, a multi-billionaire, and got links with Putin and Russia, right? Now, prior to all this excrement hitting the fan and him having to sell the club, normally, if you're a rich businessman, you come to this country and you put millions into the economy, you end up in a House of Lords and you get a knighthood and things like that. When Abramovich applied for British citizenship, he was turned down. This was before any of this happened. Now the government they sit on a lot of people. They only move on when it becomes expedient for them to do so, and the political climate's good enough for them. You know what I mean as well. And so they've sat on him, knowing about it's like a lot. They'll know a lot about these other oligarchs that bought loads of property up in London and things like that. You know, all the illegal money laundered through the city, right? So they'll know. So even before this hit the fan, the government know they're sitting on stuff. The Premier League have always got to worry about now. There's no point having a football regulator if they've got no powers, right? And the football regulator will be watching over the Premier League to see how this is going to go down. Now, to make sure things are fair, the Premier League will, you know, they'll bring together an independent tribunal to try Man City, whatever the case, because they don't want to be seen biased in it as well, although they're trying to uphold their own rules. So, you know, so we'll see how that goes. But to me, I think Chelsea are really, because of Abramovich's previous, you don't even get British citizenship. I think Chelsea are in far worse trouble than Man City. But, you know.
The thing is, though, with Chelsea, and I mean, that's a good point, but can you really see? I think with the Premiership and a team like City or Chelsea, there's too much money involved. There's too much money involved. I get
the angle. I get the angle, and I may be wrong, but I still think there's going to be so much going to come out of this Chelsea story. They haven't been charged yet. Well, what must the Premier League and the people at their legal team be going through if Chelsea hasn't been charged? It didn't take too long for Man City to get the 115 charges, and we all know them. We know that some might double up, you know, as they do, because they try and convict you on one if they can't get you on another, right? But it didn't take them that long. But this, like you both alluded to earlier, I mean, like this is really dragging on with Chelsea, and I think the stink from this is going to be the worst ever.
The thing is, though, with Chelsea and same with City to a point, but I mean, City haven't done it this season so far. They seem very confident nothing's going to happen. You know, I mean, Chelsea is still going out and spending. Well, if they were quite worried that things were going to go tits up, you kind of look at it and think, surely they would calm down a little bit. Well, they obviously aren't. Same as, I mean, City, if you look at them so far, City have been quite calm. January and January transfer window, this transfer window, I mean, I know nobody's really buying yet, but you know, there's not a lot of rumours as who's going to City. There's not a lot of rumours. Chelsea are already spending. So you look at it and think, you know, Chelsea must be quite confident that this is going to not blow away, but, you know, and you look at it and you think, well, is it going to be, if it was Roman Abramovich that was to blame, is there a way around where Chelsea can turn around and say it was all done by the previous owners, so it's not a club thing?
That's the thing with Chelsea.
Hold on. Let me
that's the thing with Chelsea is that the thing with Chelsea is that Todd Bowley almost blew the whistle on his club because he was the one that brought it. He was the one that first brought it to the attention of the authorities about the dodgy looking books and you know. So
on that point, Soren, right? When Alan Sugar took over at Spurs, right, he looked through the books and he saw there was 3 payments made to players. I'm not going to name them. I could name 2 of them straight off my head, right? Now, these payments actually, look, they were inducements, right, rather than wages. They were bungs, basically. 3 payments were made to players, but there was no criminal offence because those payments were actually declared to the tax. They were declared, right? He admitted it. So these things are wrong with their books and all that. What happened? He admitted it. He blew the whistle, like you said, Mark. We got a 12-point deduction, a £750,000 fine, and we were kicked out the FA Cup.
Yeah, I remember that because
took the FA at court or the tribunal, won the thing. We got the points back, right? We got reinstated in the FA Cup, but the fine was increased from 750,000 to 1.5 million. Now, then, when the club was near in the state of facing bankruptcy, right, Spurs, when that was a lot of money. I mean, people think 1.5 million. It does sound like nothing because it's so long. It was a lot of money to be fined, and even then, fair play to the other clubs in the league at the time, before the Premier League was inaugurated, right? Fair play to them. A lot of them come out and said the punishment on Spurs was very severe, right? And then you look at other comparisons, right? When you're pals with the FA, it's totally different.
Yeah.
West Ham had Javier Mascherano and Carlos Tevez. They were
Yes.
classed as ringers, right?
Yeah.
Sheffield United got relegated instead of them, right? So they had to pay some compensation fee. Now, West Ham and Ron Greenwood and all that, they always had a very tight association with the FA, right? And therefore, their punishment seemed trivial. Arsenal been done twice, right? They got done for the John Jensen transfer from Bromby was through an agent called Root Horger or something like that. It went cleared through the books that George Graham ended up benefiting by a six-figure sum. Get this, in a Channel Island bank account. No skullduggery there, right? Channel Island bank account, right?
That's a normal thing.
Yeah. So this all comes to a boil. Even for Arsenal's books, I mean, like the transfer's like 1.1 million, and there was like a six-figure discrepancy on that, and the agent probably took half, and Graham took the other half. He admitted he had the money because Graham said it was an unsolicited gift. Right. Eventually he paid it back and he got the sack, and it never crazed a storm. Why not? Well, David Dean was vice chairman of Arsenal, but he was also vice chairman of the FA at the same time. Right. Yeah. And yet Spurs get hammered. Right. And because Levy's going on a bit about Man City would try to bring up the old case that Spurs had. Well, don't open the can of worms, because West Ham played ringers. Spurs was only guilty of like paying money they shouldn't have paid. But this Arsenal's was like blatant bribe, in my opinion, allegedly, to George Graham, as a blatant bribe off the agent to get the player in. And it turns out that George Graham, in a tax fine, this was only about 100 odd grand or something, maybe 100 grand, something like that, right? But it turns out in that year that George Graham hadn't declared about 650 grand in unearned income, right? So if you haven't declared that amount of money, you ain't getting that money in wages off of Arsenal unless they're paying part of his wages in his hand, right? How you do that, I don't know. And he ain't like he's got a painting and decorating job on a Sunday when football's over on a Saturday, want a few extra quid, you know? So like that can of worms never got stirred up the way. If it had, Arsenal would have been in deep crap, right? And
I remember when the third round draw come around, and it said it was like, I think we were drawn away, and it was either Tottenham or buy.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah,
and recently Arsenal got done. What they were trying to mention about Spurs and others before, more recently, it was the centre back Callum from Southampton, wasn't Davidson or something, or was it, or something like that? Callum, if one of you Googles it now, they got done £60,000, right, for not using a licensed agent, right? A proper licensed agent, right? Which is what part of what the Spurs case was back in the day before them, right? And they got fined £60,000, and it was Davenport, that's it, yeah. And if you look that up, you'll see it, Callum Davenport, and I'm thinking. And them scumbags at the FA back then, I mean, I know the hierarchy's probably changed since we were there. But, I mean, if ever there was a club that they had it in for, at Spurs, we had to play on dodgy pitches at Wembley in semi-finals and things like that. We had to play at the Welsh National Stadium against Blackburn and things. Spurs have been stitched up more than anything. And I am biased, by the way. I am biased because I love my club, right? And I look at all this and I think, you lot want to open up a can of worms. Now, it may be now the Premier League will say, well, when it was the first division, total different setup, blah, blah, blah. But they can say that. But there was even rumours at the time, oh, well, if any new evidence was raised against Spurs, we'd have another look at it. So one way they're saying they can have a look at it, another way they can't. Well, if you have a look at Spurs, there'll be lots of me campaigning to look at West Ham, Arsenal, right, and others as well. You know, so interesting discussion that it's got, but I mean, it gives our viewers and those watching on playback, which I'm grateful to you, those that do, give you a little bit of history, Yeah, just shame I got a little bit of a brain fart earlier. That's the trouble when you got too many facts and figures in your head all the time. You know,
I'm lucky my head's quite empty most of the time.
Yeah, and mine definitely is.
Right, we sort of a little bit off tack, but it was interesting. A little bit on the Copa America. Argentina win it 1-0. Lo Celso assist, was it's always happened to our players away from home for the winning goal. I didn't watch the game. I don't suppose you two did either, did you?
No.
I only saw the assist on Facebook. And the goal. Well, the assist and the goal. That's all I saw. And I saw the videos of the fans climbing in through
Another one.
ventilation ducts.
Yeah.
And,
what is
and they stormed the entrance as well at one stage.
Well, it wasn't so much to storm the entrance, was it? The Americans have just not been able to cope with it, and you've got a World Cup there.
Yeah,
you know, it's not looking good. I mean,
well, I'll give you that. I was going to come to that a bit later on this, but we'll do it now as you hear, right? Roger Bentancur has been named among 11 Uruguayan players after disciplinary investigation for open following the ugly scenes after a Copa America semi-final against Colombia. The 11 players are Jose Maria Gimenez, Sebastian Caceres, centre back we were interested in, Ronaldo Rajuju, Roger Bentancur, Facundo Pellegrini, Matias Olivia, Matias Vine, Brian Rodriguez, Darwin Núñez, Emilia Martinez, Darwin Núñez for a chair, I think, Santiago Meli, appropriate name, isn't it? Each of the players' names is accompanied by film evidence and the reason for which a disciplinary file is opened. The AUF, which must mean Association of European Football, will have until Wednesday, which is tomorrow, to present a defence in writing. After that day, a period will begin for CONMEBOL to study and resolve whether or not to sanction each of the aforementioned players. CONMEBOL must be, I don't know what that an acronym is fully, what it means. It's CONMEBOL, it must be something. Conference, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what.
It must be something to do with South America, I would have thought.
Yeah, I only see a brief link for the video. I didn't go for it. I mean, you guys see it. Did you watch it? You probably seen
I mean, I've seen quite a bit of it. The only thing I haven't really seen is how it all started. Look, I mean, the two high-profile bits that seem to be the most talked about is the Núñez bit and the Bentancur. You can kind of, the majority of what Darwin Núñez did, to me, I would probably do exactly the same.
He did an Eric Dyer, didn't he? He just got in the crowd because people were attacking his family.
Protecting his family. And you could see afterwards when he's got his kid in his arms and things like that, he was shaken. What Bentancur did, from what I saw, whether there's any other footage or not, I don't know, was cowardice. And that's the only way I can explain it, that when you're throwing bottles into a crowd that have both your fans, opponents' fans, and family members, you are not trying to protect anybody. You are inciting more violence.
Unless your name's Phil Taylor. And you just like dart it in, you know?
If you're hurling a bottle into a crowd, and we've already seen he hits his own coach and causes damage, you know, cuts his head open. First of all, if I was Uruguay, he would never play for my country again. Second of all, to me, he should be charged. And I don't think there's anything can be said where you can actually defend him. Because if you're trying to defend your family, you're not chucking bottles from the sidelines. That's your job. That's a job doing that. And, you know, to me, what Darwin Núñez did, he jumped in the crowd. Whether he was there for a fight or not is still to be seen. But if you're there to protect your family, you're going into it. You're not standing on the side lobbing bricks or bottles or whatever. And the thing is, I think the second bottle was a plastic bottle, which obviously he's done it twice. So you would think the first time would be, this is wrong. To pick another one up and chuck it again. But to chuck a glass bottle, that is just mind-blowingly stupid.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we spoke about this on the last discussion, and I don't want to go much more into it. To me, whatever he gets will be warranted.
I mean, I think they're looking at fines and bans. If it's any worse than that, the other thing, because it affects Spurs, whether, you know, the club take action or not, I think the club will do nothing until the judicial process has, you know, has gone through with these bodies. And then you don't know if there'll be a reaction when we tour Asia, because Bentancur was guilty of a racist remark. So we're going to Japan shortly, and Korea. Either he might get a suspected injury in training or something. He might be on holiday now because he's finished. No, he's got a couple of weeks, so he probably wouldn't be there anyway.
He's already injured, didn't he? I thought he got injured in the match.
Didn't
That's
know.
why he came off.
In the third place playoff, I think he scored a goal and a penalty.
Yeah, but when the match where we're talking about, the semi-final or whatever, he was injured. That's why he came off.
Yeah.
He came off after 30-odd minutes.
But he played in the third and fourth match playoff, and Uruguay won it.
Oh, did he?
And he scored. Yeah, he scored. And I think he scored a penalty as well at the end.
All right.
I think he scored and got a penalty.
Well, I mean,
so
that tells you if they've played him after that incident.
But then we're talking, we were talking Sunday, but then after a tournament, players are normally given 2 or 3 weeks off anyway.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
he missed the Asian games, I think, yeah.
I don't think he'll travel. I don't think he'll travel to Asia.
I don't think he will either. It'd be best to stay
for his own safety. For his own safety.
You never know. There might be protests back here because we discussed it. We know the culture's different in countries to the. We've moved on a lot further on this. Okay, so let's start on that, right? Now, a bit that's which is like increasingly frustrating Spurs fans, is the transfer window. Right, there's 46 days left. Right,
Has it started yet? This transfer window?
There's 46 days left, but out of those 46 days, it's only 32 days before the season starts, because the transfer window goes into the season 2 weeks roughly. Right, so 32 days. You know, we're talking 4.5 weeks. Right, to get people in before we kick a ball in the new season, but. I mean, I'm sure us three all want to see. I mean, it's got to happen in the next 2 weeks, guys, isn't it, Mark? We've got to move in a transfer market. Get at least 2 players in the next 2 weeks.
We'd like to hope so. I mean, but the targets we're after are probably on holiday. I would have thought, because 2 of them definitely were playing for England. Well, I say playing for England, that they barely got on the pitch. But, like, they were involved with the England team, and I don't know what's going on. Who else we've been rumoured with? I know we were rumoured with that. Is it Davids, Canadian?
Jonathan David, yeah. And him
Jonathan Davids.
Both their teams, they lost one semi-final. Canada, playing maybe on holiday. Same with Jimenez and that. But then again, if you're about to sign a multi-million contract, I think you'd come back from your holiday.
Well, you've
got electronic signatures and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, but see, I have got Twitter, but I don't ever look at it. It's like, because everything on there is just a little rubbish anyway. I don't believe transfers until they're stood at Hotspur Way holding the shirt, hold the shirt up, and then I'll believe it. Because half of it's just a little rubbish anyway. It's just made up by journalists just trying to get a few likes and clicks, and I mean.
And it would have been even worse, Mark, if there wasn't no European tournament this year or Copa America.
Yeah.
The next 2 reasons you've got qualifying.
Yeah, but let's get some perspective on all this. That there has been 2 big tournaments, and the players that we are supposedly the most keen on have been at these tournaments. Now, had there not been these tournaments, we would have probably already signed some players. The fact is, they are at the tournament. It's probably been said by these players and their agents they are not interested in talking until the tournaments are over. It only finished on Sunday. The players probably, I mean, I don't even know if they're home yet. I presume Europe.
Oh, the England team are home. The England team flew home.
Yeah, but I mean,
Monday,
it's not just, I mean, I'm on about Canada and teams like that. These players literally got home probably yesterday. The last thing they're going to want to be talking about today or yesterday or is contracts for a new team.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just amazing. And what gets me is we know 90% or probably 95% of the rumors are a load of crap. You know, and it's like, oh, you know, you see it all over Twitter or X, and you see it all over the groups. Why aren't we signing this player? He maybe doesn't want to come to Tottenham. This is why we haven't signed some of the players. They don't want to come to Tottenham. They might want to stay in Italy if they're Italian. They might want to stay in France if they're French. Look at Doué. Is it Doué?
Desiree Doué.
Yeah, I mean, you know, oh yeah, we're favourites. Now all of a sudden PSG are in for him. Bayern are in for him. Well, you know, the lad's probably, if he's patriotic, he's going to go to PSG. If he's not, if he wants, you know, if he's got Real Madrid or if he's got Bayern Munich, chances are he's going to go to one of them before he comes to Tottenham. And then you'll have all these fans coming out saying, why didn't we just pay the money? It's not as simple as that.
No. And to add to that, Soren, and to add to that as well, I mean, do you think, Mark, that after getting Archie Gray in, who I reckon, I don't think he was top of our list, but we were pushed to act quickly after Brentford made their move, right? So I don't think it was top of our list. I'm glad we got him because I like the player. But
we'll
do
see.
You think we're going to go and pay another 40 million for a 19-year-old? And we've got better business to do in the transfer market than to go and pay. I know the kid's good. I've watched him. He is really exciting, but he is a kid, and kids are inconsistent. We need more oven-ready players. He might be oven-ready at that age in this league. Who knows? But it's a risk to now go out and spend. And the Rens are talking like 40, 50 million and things like that. Well, Barcelona and Real Madrid won't pay that because they haven't got the money to do that now.
Silly.
They're going to fork out money with their huge debts. They're going to go for proven quality, right? So
as I've said, ever since this channel started, transfers I want to see coming in, they got to answer one question: do they make us better? Do they make us better and get in the team immediately? If the answer is no, then what's the point in buying them?
I think, look, I mean, I get where you're coming from with that one, Mark, and I know a lot of fans are the same. And again, I'll probably get stick for it, but we are creating a very, very, very exciting set of youngsters. Now, yeah,
but that's no good for them now, is it?
No, it's no good for them now, and I get that. But the thing is, if you know, when you're looking at some players, and let's talk about Ivan Toney. Everybody's going on about 40 million, and you know, he's only going to cost 40 million. And then Brentford come out and say, no, it's at least 60. There's a big deal. I mean, you know, it's 50% again on top. So 60 million plus his wages, plus probably add-ons. And Tottenham are not in a position probably to, if we go and buy Toney, and then we're looking at Eze, so 68 million for him, and most of that is going to have to be up front.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there's no wonder we're buying the kids because teams, I mean, and I know there's the argument that Tottenham are one of the most richest clubs in the world and all this lot, but when you're talking about two players costing you 130 million plus wages and everything else on top of that, it's a lot of money.
It is. If Palace want us to pay the 60 million release clause money up front, we ain't going to go for Eze because we've got better things to do with the 60 million. We can't do that if we want to fill spaces in the squad. If we can fill two spaces and not get Eze, and I love the player, I'd love him at Spurs.
Yeah,
right?
so would I.
Then we ain't going for him, right? For that specific reason. Now, it's a bit like we've been linked with Pedro Neto and we've been linked with Chiesa lately. Now, Chiesa had a horrible cruciate injury, right? Neto's got an injury problem. He missed 19 or 20 games last season.
Yeah.
Both good players. I would take both of them tomorrow only on one condition, that we're offering you a sum of money for that player and you will only get anywhere near what you're looking for with add-ons if that player plays a certain amount of games. Because you do not go out and play suicide transfer market with your money, bring a player in and he's injury prone, and now like, you know, you've got a sick note and you've done an end on belly. Well, not quite an end on belly, but you've brought, because that would get the fans going at the meltdown as well. So I like Neto. Don't get me wrong, I like the look of him. I wish he scored more goals. You know me, I've been going on about goals all the time here. We'll never win a league if we don't score the goals, right? It's not like when we had Desk, when we had Dele, Eriksson, Son and Kane, those four scored a hatful. That's why we come close to winning the league, right? But we haven't got that. We haven't got that. And how many I want to see the strike rates on these players. I'd actually prefer Rafinha to both of those, but that's just my preference, yeah.
But Adrian, we talk about Chiesa especially. What makes everybody so sure he wants to come and play for us?
Exactly.
Because I'm fed up of seeing prominent Tottenham fans that have got YouTube channels and they're all over X and Twitter going on about, oh, this is the player we should have signed. He's 20 million or he's 30 million. They probably don't want to come and play for us. What's to say they want to leave the countries they're playing in, or don't want to go to certain clubs, or there are better clubs, you know? And then you get them all coming out and saying, oh, Tottenham aren't a big club. Well, why do you want to sign all these top players then? If we're not a big club, they don't want to come and play for us. You know,
I think one of the most important profiles with Ange is the age of a player. I see us getting Jonathan David because he's 24. Two seasons ago, as I looked at him, I wasn't impressed. Thought tapping merchant. All right, he's had another consistent season at Lille and all that. But he fits the profile. 24, 5 years, sell on value and all that. Jimenez, well, Troy Parrott scored nearly as many goals as Jimenez in the Eredivisie. And Tony, there's something doesn't smell right about this player. You know what I mean? I mean, unless it's all, you know, smoke and mirrors. I mean, he would be the ideal fit, Premier proven and all that. He didn't have that great ending to last season, and he just something not right here. Something not right here, guys.
The thing is with Tony, and I know some people love this type of thing and some people hate it. But when he took that penalty and didn't even look at the ball, and you think it's gone in, you know, and everybody's lauding it, you know, he didn't even look at the ball, look at the confidence. What happens if it had skyrocketed it?
He didn't.
No, he didn't. And this is the thing. If he had have done, I mean, look at Emerson Royale last season, all the no-look passes. Everybody's slating him off because he was doing no-look passes. Tony, in an England match where we could have then lost, goes and kicks a penalty without looking at the ball, but it's okay because his face fits. Well, look, the thing with Ivan Toney is the next week or so will tell us whether we're going to sign him or not. We'll know within the next week because, again, he's come back. I don't know if he fits what Ange Postecoglou wants in his team. If we sign him and Ange wanted him, then fine, I'll shut up. But I don't necessarily think he is an Ange Postecoglou type of player. Yeah,
I think
exactly.
I think I'd love him. I'd love him at Spurs. Absolutely love him.
Jonathan David, he like, to me, he's more of a poacher in the box, but he has got pace. He has got pace.
Yeah.
And,
I think that's what we need. We need the poacher in the box, because the thing is with Ivan Toney,
he's a big lad as well for the nuisance value.
You watched him when he came on. I mean, I know he didn't have much time with England, but you watch him for Brentford as well. I didn't see him doing a lot of closing down. And if we sign a striker, to me, it's going to have to be along the lines of a Richie, where he's always closing down. Yes, we want the goals on top. I get that, but if you've got a player, the way Postecoglou wants his team to play, you cannot necessarily afford for one of your players not to be closing down.
And he'd be the right price as well if we're going for an Eze as well, because like 25 million, 1 year left on his contract, he'd be right. Another one we linked with were Omar Mamouche. I watched this guy play for Eintracht Frankfurt. This guy is fast. He is fast. No two ways about it. Mido recommended him, you know, our ex-Egyptian forward. Right? But he says he's the next Salah. It's a big claim to make, next Salah. You know, if he's sort of going to be half a good, I'd say go and see him. But I watched a video of him quite a while back now, Mamouche, and I thought, God, this guy's fast, like that. So, and I think he can play across the front three as well. So,
tell you who I like the look of, and I can't for the life of me think of his name, but it was one of the wingers for Turkey.
Oh, you got, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, he's young, isn't
he? He looked like a good little player.
Mm.
You know, he could run with the ball, he could cross it, he could do a lot of things, and he was doing a lot of closing down when you watched him. Look, I think we probably will sign one of an Ivan Toney, Eberechi Eze, or a Gallagher, or something like that. There will be one of those names will come in. But then I also think there'll be a few where we just haven't heard of, or we don't know who they are, or, you know, just sort of left field type players. And, you know, it's like you said earlier, we want players that are ready to play now. What's to say by the start of the season, Archie Gray isn't ready to play?
Yeah.
Unproven.
It's not. Well, it might be unproven, but every player's been unproven at some point in the career. You've got to be given that chance. You know, it's like you look at Bergville and Archie Gray. I'll tell you what, Archie Gray will be ready before Bergville will be.
Yeah, I agree.
Because,
I agree on that one.
That championship is nearer to the Premiership than where Bergville's come from. And it wouldn't surprise me if Archie Gray is given that chance pretty early on. I mean, perhaps I took it. Why can't Archie Gray take it? You know, we forget about these youngsters that are playing for Tottenham now. I mean, it's like Udogie. Yes, he came from Italian team. He was playing in the top tier for a season or two. But didn't mean to say when he came to England he was going to fit straight in, and he did. You know, what's to say if Archie Gray gets a chance, he doesn't just come on and say, do you know what, lad? I'm going to show you.
Say if he doesn't, though. Say if he doesn't, though.
Yeah,
but I mean, if he doesn't,
there's that as well. There's that as well, Mark. It's a fair point.
It's all right. It's all right saying, "Oh, say if he sets the world on fire," but nobody knows. Nobody knows. Which is why I wasn't.
But then, Max, say we sign an Ivan Toney and he doesn't score.
No, but he's proven.
No, he isn't. He isn't.
He's Premiership proven.
He was proven. Well, why didn't he just come in as though nothing had happened at the second half of last season and score goals?
No, but he is. My belief, he is exactly what Tottenham need.
I'm not saying he won't, but all right, then we'll take a different player then. So let's say we go out and sign Vlahovic, which we know how good Vlahovic is. What's to take him half a season or a season to settle into Premiership football? What's to say Premiership football wouldn't be too fast for him? You know,
you don't know. You don't know. But this is where. All right, I understand why we signed Archie Gray, and they got a lad from Sweden.
No, you know we're gonna sign, don't you? Rashford.
Yeah, no, it'll be Solanke and Colin Gallagher, wouldn't it? That's just about it.
I see them rumours have come back again. I saw something, I think, on Facebook or something about Conor Gallagher.
Yeah, the rumours are because these competitions have ended. These rumours are going to come up again. They're going to resurface. Yeah. I mean, you've got you mentioned Udogie, which is an interesting point because Udogie's injured. I don't know if you two know, but he had an operation on his left quadriceps, at the end of the season. So he's still recovering. So recently, then we start getting linked with like a young Brazilian fullback, and then we're linked with 22-year-old 5'11" Bradley Locko. He's a left wing back from French club Brest. I've looked at this guy. I like him a lot, actually. He does look good. I was talking to Jose, and Jose said, I watched him playing in the youth tournament that's going on. He said, yeah, I like him as well. So I thought, well, it isn't just me, glorifying a player. Now, I think with the Udogie situation, unless we go and play, we'll talk about Hearts in a minute. With him being injured, I mean, I don't want to see VDV. I mean, don't forget all their centre backs are away, right? Dragerson, VDV, Romero, they're away, so they're not playing tomorrow, right? So you've got Davies, you've got Emerson, he hasn't been sold yet, and I think Ash Phillips, you'll see him get a game tomorrow. yeah. But yeah.
What
So
about
sorry,
Reguilon's still here.
Reguilon's been linked with Ipswich. I don't think we'll have no problem getting rid of Reguilon for the simple reason he's left-footed, and we know there's a shortage of left-footed players in all positions. He will go. The Spurs will get the 10 mil they want from him and take the hit. Right? We paid about 22 or something. We'll get the 10 mil for him. There'll be no problem. I don't see no problem with Højbjerg going after his good Euros.
Yeah.
He's weighing up his options. He's had loads of offers from different clubs. So it's a question of like, one of them willing to pay the fee. Yeah. Well, they've got to pay the fee. You don't give players away just because you want to get rid of them. I know some of the fans would say, just pay their wages and get rid of them. It doesn't work like that, as you said earlier, right? And like the same with Emerson. Emerson's a good defender. Spurs will want, they've got their set price for him. He'll have a
I heard that Inter offered 8.5 million euros. That was.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, right? If we went and offered to buy any player in the Championship now, a fullback, what do you think the minimum price would be?
Yeah, but what gets me is, again, we're going to go back to the fan base. How often do we hear, Levy, just pay that extra 5 million, just pay, and then when we come to selling them, just sell them for whatever we can get. Why is it that we've got to pay the full asking price for a player we want in, but we've got to let our players go as cheaply as possible to make sure we get rid of them? You know, let's have some balance here. That if we've set a 20 million asking price for Emerson Royal, then why shouldn't we get 20 million?
It always mystifies me with the European teams that always come in and try low balling.
Yeah,
they always make out their skin.
We've got to pay full whack.
And an interesting thing, whenever you go and look at the players, whether it's on Brazil Scout, where I go a lot, I look at them, and they do the transfer market value of the player. The transfer market value of the player, which is like they've got an algorithm to sort that out, how the well the player's done, experience, blah, 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 right? Always ends up a lower price than what that player's actually sold for. Yeah. He's always 9 times he's sold for more.
Yeah.
Emerson Royal is worth the money Spurs want for him. Now, it's down to them how they deal with it or whatever. And look, I mean, you know, some of these Italian clubs are in the Champions League. Don't tell me you're skint, right? Don't tell me you're totally skint. You've got extra games to play that year and all that, right? So we've got, you know, Troy Parrott went to Alkmaar, for 8.5 mil,
But you see that again, you talk about Troy Parrott going to Alkmaar 8 mil or whatever it was, and that's euros in it, not pounds. I want it 6 million pounds.
It might be euros. If it's 5 euros.
And then when we're talking about Jimenez coming our way, and we're talking of, what is it, 25 million, 28, 30 million?
Yeah.
And he only did the same as what Parrott did. So again, why is it that we can sell players that way for 6-8 million? And then when we want to buy them in, we've got to pay 30 million.
And like you've got, I mean, Dortmund again, they like sniffing around for a cheap buy, don't they? They're looking at Reguilon as well. There was rumours that Man United might come in for him. Don't know what how Shaw's going to is, although he come on for England and all that. And then you've got the question of whether Brentford come back as he's left-footed. I don't think there'll be no problem getting rid of him. You know, Gil, you know he's going to go back to Spain. I mean, Real Betis is interested in Lo Celso, so I think he'll go back to Spain, even though Unai Emery might want him at Villa, because there was all them rumours about the Jacob Ramsey coming to Spurs and sending Lo Celso the other way. That doesn't surprise me because we've nicked 3 of their staff. Frederick Leff, who's in charge of strategy, and Johan Lange and Mile Jedinek. We took 3 of Villa's staff, you know, so they will know the Villa squad better than anyone. And if there's anyone of interest they think, you know, we should go in for, although I don't think it'd be easy to prize Jacob Ramsey away from, and they just lost Luis. Like that, and there's rumours that the Scots guy in midfield might be going as well. McGinn, yeah. So there's him. So that's on those. Like you said, Dewey, I see young Desiree Dewey, and his brother plays at Rennes as well. He's younger, he's a defender. Yeah. But I see him going to PSG. They've got the money if they're within the rules. I mean, I'm not familiar with what the European clubs are within financial these new squad ratio rules, and we're supposed to bring in our rules in line with theirs. So which will happen, you know, by next year. But I think they're year ends in December, the end of December. It's weird for them to have their accounts and that done for 2 or 2 years, and ours overlap them somehow. So, which doesn't surprise me, right? So, yeah, I mean, who else? Mamouche. The Albert Goodmanson we were linked with. He's supposed to have an assault charge facing. Then he's a striker, more on a wing head. A good season last year. I don't think we're getting a Pender at all. Quick, nippy player, but young. Another one very expensive. En-Nesyri at Sevilla, the Moroccan international striker. We could have gone for him. Nico Williams, I think. Barca.
He'd do. He's not too bad.
But I think Danny Olmo, I think he's got about 50 mil release clause.
Yeah, but doesn't that end pretty soon? That was extended, wasn't it, for a few days, because it was supposed to have already ended, and it was extended. So I don't know if it ends this week. But I mean, yeah, that's a player. I'd say another player. I mean, I know there's no chance of getting him, but the young Spanish lad.
What, Yamal?
I mean, can you imagine?
You're not getting him. You're not getting him.
I mean, if we can dream, then get him on one of the wings and get
unproven again. Unproven.
Yeah.
Unproven? Did you not watch it?
Like Danny Olmo as well. I mean, I'll take Danny Olmo. Like, you got Jacob Ramsey as well. To me, I'm like that. I haven't really seen enough of him. I've got to be honest. I mean, I've seen more of Morgan Gibbs-White, and I ain't seen too much of him. But I mean, like, he looks. What I've seen, I like. Carried the Forest team, in my opinion. Morgan Gibbs-White, Edison again. We were linked with Fratesi as well. You see, but we don't really know. If we know that Ange wants a Conor Gallagher type player, then you go for an Edison or a Fratesi.
Well, the thing is,
fits that mold. I mean, what does he want?
Adrian, if Ange wants a Gallagher type player, then you go out and get Gallagher. I mean, it's one of those that as fans, if we're all going to sit and say back the manager, and then he wants Gallagher, why are we all then sitting here saying, "Oh, we don't want Gallagher, but we need to back the manager with the players he wants"? Well, if he wants Gallagher, then as much as most of us don't want Gallagher, you go and get Gallagher.
Yeah. And if similar ilk like Edison Fratesi or Hoyman, do you remember Hoyman who scored against us for Denmark?
If Ange wants those type of players, then that's up to him to say that that's the players he wants. So, again, I'm fed up of trying to emphasize this. Let's just wait and see who we do get. If come the end of, and I know it's not what people want to hear, but come the end of the transfer window, if we haven't got players in, that's when we need to start voicing our opinions. Yes, it's too late. I get it, but it doesn't matter who we want. It's who Postecoglou wants and who we get in.
Wow.
We can all come up with these. I mean, Danny Olmo. Can you imagine getting Danny Olmo, Nico Williams, and I don't know, a striker?
They would only come for wages, but the rumours with Nico Williams was like, even though Barca or Real Madrid, one of them, I forget which one, are more interested in him rather than Danny Olmo. There's rumours like the kid wants $300 grand a week. That is the rumour. Yeah. He's not getting that.
But Danny Olmo was supposed to have been going to Bayern.
Yeah.
So, you look at this and you think, well, if
that's definitely
exactly, and this is what I'm saying. We can all sit here and say we want a Danny Olmo or we want a Nico Williams, but at the end of the day, if we're the only option they've got, they'll come if they want to move. That's if they want to move. But if you've got teams, if somebody came up to you and said, right, Tottenham are interested in you, PSG are interested in you, Bayern's interested in you, and Real Madrid's interested in you. Do you think he heard Tottenham are interested in you?
Probably not.
All he heard was probably Bayern and Real Madrid, not even PSG.
We can but hope then in Syria, we can but hope that then Paratici waves his magic wand, and maybe we could, because the Italian clubs are skint, so maybe we could get a deal out for Fratesi or someone like that to play in midfield. We had a good season last year.
Yeah, I mean, a good shout in the thing is Slav Olsen. I'll tell you another player that
I like Scott Olsen.
Yeah,
but I was talking to Ash Matic about that. Who's brilliant on the stats. Ash at Spurs Kings, he's excellent. And we was having a little chat in a text, and I said I like Scott Olsen. At least he's a winger who scores goals, right? But apparently he did go away from Belgian football, didn't quite work out, and went back. Now, it might be too early in his development, because Ash said, well, don't mean to say he wouldn't hit it off. I like the look of him, though, you know, but I've been wrong about players before.
I'll tell you a player that would create a little bit of havoc if he played for Tottenham, and that's the Dutch lad. Is it Van Hurst, or the tall lad who keeps coming on for him?
Veghurst.
Van Hurst, yeah. I mean, you know, he's a bit of. I mean, I know he's not the most skillful and the most desirable player, but he gets in there, doesn't he? And he creates a lot of havoc. And if you've got somebody
gives away a lot of free kicks, gives away a lot of free kicks.
Well, maybe he does give a lot, but he also scores a bit on head. You know, I mean, he's quite useful. I mean, I'm not saying he's the sort of player that we should get, but look, I mean, we've got to do something within the next season or two maximum, because, you know, players like Romero, who just won another Confederates Cup, we're going to lose that type of player if we don't do something. And this is why you kind of look at it and you think, look, you know, we're all sit here and every player we're naming is nearly at the top of the game, you know, and, you know, rightfully so. I get, like you, Mark, who kind of questions getting the kids in, but maybe these kids are the type of hungry type players that Postecoglou needs and wants to come in. And yes, they're untested, and I get that. And yes, we don't know whether they'll work. But the fact that they're hungry and they haven't got the top player attitude, you know, that they're not going to turn around and say, well, who are you to tell me how to do this, or something like that. You know, we could get this team of young kids, and I know it's a big if, you know, but they could just come and do something next season. It might be an FA Cup. It might be a Carabao Cup or whatever. We might get top four and be challenging. But until we try this, we'll never know.
Buy once. No. Buy cheap. You pay 4 or 5 times.
Hang on. We didn't know with Valise. We didn't with Udoji. We didn't with Pap Sarr. We didn't with Van der Ven. You know, all these players were... I mean, everybody comes on and tells us how great Van der Ven was before we signed him, but a lot of people didn't know who he really was.
How did Jack Clark end up?
Eh?
How did Jack Clark end up?
I know. And for everyone...
and all the rest of the youngsters that we wasted money on.
Yeah, we
buy quality, you pay once. You don't waste millions of pounds.
Then. So with quality, you pay once. Right. Quality, as much as it can be argued, and Ndombele, he could have been quality. He could have been a world-class player, but he wasn't.
The Ndombele, we never did our due diligence. It took me two.
No. He has the ability.
It took me 2 minutes. 2 minutes to look up on Google that Ndombele is well known for his laziness.
And why did we sign him? Why did we sign him?
Well, so I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Pochettino wanted him.
Well, I'm of the opinion, like with the striker issue, which is my biggest concern, right? Because we've got plenty of midfielders. We don't get a midfielder, and we've got plenty there, and youngsters. So that's the big concern with the striker issue. But at the same time, I don't want to bring a striker in just for the sake of it if they ain't really up to standard. If fans don't think they're good enough, don't bring them in. We just have to wait. I mean, I know the fans won't like that. Why haven't we got a striker? But you know, it was the good. Well, 2 good points. I mean, for Audio Artisan who asked if Velez was involved in the friendly, not sure. In the 7-2 win, Brennan Johnson scored 3 goals in the first half. Son scored 2, looked as sharp as a razor by all accounts, right? In the second half, Mikey Moore scored 1. There was an own goal. I think that might have been a Werner assist or something like that, and that was it. That was the squad. away to Enfield, they won 3-2. The under-21s were 3-0 up. And obviously we got a few of those players with the squad for the pre-season at the moment. So they were short, but they came through 3-2. Lancashire's got another 2. You just don't stop scoring, that boy. So he scored another 2. So he scored so many goals this year. It's unreal. But, will he kick on? So that's to answer you, audio, mate.
Just to answer this one.
Go on.
Harry Kane's just gone to Bayern Munich and still not won anything. So, let's not go down that thing. He will do probably. But, look, Harry Kane is and will be classed as one of the best strikers, certainly English strikers, certainly Premiership striker, and possibly European and world status as well.
Right.
The fact is, when it comes down to all the big games, Harry Kane has gone missing. Harry Kane, playing for Tottenham, could have got 4 trophies.
Certainly.
Certainly 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So he's had the opportunities to win trophies and win silverware for Tottenham, also for England. And he's failed at every level when it comes to that. Now, I'm not knocking him because, like I said, he's probably one of the best strikers in the world. But he has had opportunities. So don't come back saying, "Oh, well, we've not given the opportunity," because he has had the opportunity to win trophies.
The overriding fact in all of the overriding thing in all of that, though, is that Daniel Levy wouldn't back Poch. When we was at the top of our game, he never backed him.
Poch cocked it up for himself because if he'd have probably played Lucas Moura in the final,
exactly,
we may have actually won a European Cup. But you bring on Harry Kane, who was totally unfit, coming back from a thingy. So you can't blame me for that. We were in the final, and yes, I know we lost it because of a stupid handball rule and blah blah blah. But the mistakes had already been made. So
right. We'll have a little chat about our pre-season starts tomorrow, guys. We're away at Heart of Malodian for their 150th anniversary. We were there for their 100th anniversary as well. And for those Spurs fans that don't know and they're watching us on playback, it's where we got our double-winning captain, Dave Mackay, from. So that's the first one. Then on Saturday, we're away at QPR. I think Ellie's going because her husband's a QPR supporter.
Yeah.
And then I think we've got to jump on a plane straight away because 7 days later, we're in Japan in the National Stadium to play Vissas Kobe. And then 4 days later, we have to fly. After that game, we probably got to fly out straight away because 4 days later we're playing Team K, a mixture of South Korean players in Seoul, Korea, and then 3 days after that we got Bayern Munich, and then we're probably flying home straight after that because 7 days later we got Bayern Munich to Spurs Stadium, and then 7 days after that the season starts. So it's quite a jam-packed pre-season. I believe Ange wanted it this way, though. He wants to play games more than anything else because I've always been a fan of getting your squad back. I mean, different in a European tournament year, a World Cup year, getting your squad back at the stadium a month before the season starts to give everyone a good pre-season. But it never happened. Last year's was a shamble, and yet we had a great start to the season. 8 wins and 2 draws. It's a record, isn't it? It's unbelievable, really. So it'd be nice to equal that again or do better. Win the 10. So tomorrow at Hearts, guys. I mean, I'm hoping we see Ashley Phillips at centre-back, as all our centre-backs are away. Our 3 main ones are away. And maybe because your dog is injured, you might see Davies at left-back, Ashley Phillips alongside Emerson, if he's not gone. Or Davis alongside Emerson. I mean, because they played quite a few games together last season when we had the horrendous injury list, didn't they? So
they did well.
Know who else we've got. Yeah, they did okay. Which means you still got Porro, haven't you? Midfield's anyone's guess. I think Archie Gray will start. Maybe Berg, maybe with Maddison and maybe
Dorrington. What about Dorrington?
He won't be back. I don't think he'll be back for a couple of months yet. He had the
It's normally
operation.
2 teams in these
Oh,
friendlies.
yeah, the operation. Yeah.
He had a bad injury. I think he might have been cruciate as well. I'd love to see him. He's really good on the ball, left-footed. Yeah.
It's normally 2 teams in these friendlies. There's one for one half, and they change the whole team for the second half.
That's what they did when they beat Cambridge United.
Yeah.
They rearranged that one. So, yeah. And like I say, the under-21s are going to play Steven Gerrard's side in Spain. I can't remember the date for that. But so, I mean, I suppose we're all hoping for the same thing in these pre-season friendlies, aren't we, guys? What are you hoping for, Mark? What are you hoping to see?
No, pre-season friendlies mean nothing. I mean, it's like I said on the last show. How many times have Spurs gone unbeaten throughout all pre-season, and then they start the season, lose, draw, another loss, then maybe a win? You know, it doesn't mean pre-season is just about getting minutes in the legs and getting them fit. You know, the result is irrelevant, in my opinion. It's just getting, especially the new players, you know, like Gray and Bergvall, just getting that Ange's philosophy into them.
Yeah.
You know, the score is irrelevant. I mean, if we lose 5-0, so what?
I think the thing with that, though, Mark, is I agree with you exactly. The score's kind of irrelevant. It doesn't matter how we play. It doesn't matter if we win or lose. But then again, on the other hand, it does. Because if, in theory, if you win your pre-seasons and you get that confidence in winning teams,
of course,
you should be going in. But we know it doesn't happen that way.
Of course, but it's like I said when the first point I made. How many times has Spurs gone whole season winning every game, and then come to the start of the Premier League and we're rubbish?
Yeah, no, I that's why I said I agree with you fully. But you know, on one hand, it is that way, and on the other, but I think for me, it's seeing these players. I mean, we went into last season, and then we all of a sudden we had the argument of changing the whole team for the Carabao Cup and going out of it, and everybody saying, well, he needed to do it to see his players. No, this is the time we see the players now. I get that, you know, all our main players aren't there at the moment. So these first 2 or 3, to me, are the ones where you literally just play the kids, or as many kids as you can, the fringe players, to see whether they're understanding what you want.
That's a good point, Soren, because the reason I would like to see the kids play, in the hope, fingers crossed, if you can give Velez, Donnelly, Scarlett game time in the first 2 weeks, because we've really got to move now in this transfer window in these next 2 weeks, get at least 2 players in. And if they really catch Angie's eye, then you might say, okay, we're looking for these strikers. If I don't know what his mindset, Ange, he might not fancy any of them. No, right? You fancy Eze. Everyone will fancy Eze. He might fancy Jimenez. He might fancy David. You know, whatever. He might think, sod this. We've got Richarlison. He can do a job. And I only got 11 goals last season, but he's injured and he had psychological problems. You never know. Richarlison may have a breakout season, and he might not. Right? And if he doesn't this season, he's gone anyway. Right? So like, but there was Scarlett, Donnelly, not so much Lancashire. I think he'll probably get a loan, but Donnelly, I think he's close, and Lancashire and Scarlett and Velez, give them a go. I mean, give them a go in these games, right, to see. I mean, Sonny's looked really sharp. He scored 2 goals. Well, do you really need to play him tomorrow? I mean, is this a pride thing, not wanting to lose the game? I mean, you're up there. If Sonny's played that game, he's got 1 game in his legs. He might have only played a half. Well, that's it. I could contradict myself there. Well, you can still play Sonny for a half and change it, can't you? So, like, just keep them ticking over nicely, you know. So,
I mean, for me, because I'm going to have to go in now anyway, Adrian. But
we're closing. We're going to shut anyway.
Yeah, for me, I'm not bothered about seeing Sonny. We know what Sonny can do.
Yeah,
I'm not bothered about playing, you know, Richie or any of those. The ones I want to see, and I kind of want to see him play a full game, is your Archie Grays, your Bergvalls, your Ashley Phillips. You know, these younger, even Pap Sarr for a certain extent, these younger players that we want to see progress again And we want to see if Archie Gray is good enough in an Ange system. Now, yes, when you know the friendlies and the not, but these are the games that they need to play, not Sonny. We know what Sonny can do. We know what, in a sense, Brennan Johnson can do. We know what Richie can do. We know what Werner can and can't do. They're not necessarily the players we want to be seeing. You know, somebody says there, Solomon. Yes, Solomon. Yes, Solomon. You know,
I was just about to say Audio's comment. Audio's comment in the chat. That's spot on. That is.
You know,
one up, Adrian.
We want to see, and if there's any fringe players from the youngsters that are there, put them in. It doesn't, you know. I kind of want to see it where we. I mean, what I'd like to see as well is Ange, yes, play his system, but also try tweaking it within the game a little bit. Now, I understand why he doesn't, because he wants to get the mentality into the players of, look, it doesn't matter whether we win or lose, you will stick to this system. And I get that. But you also need to have an understanding that we may need to change the system at some point.
Try a 3 at the back.
Yeah, Mark, have you got anything to add? Otherwise, I'll close the show. I mean, it's been a very good show. We've covered a lot of ground as usual. And I hope it's been interesting for those that have came into the chat channel and have their say. And for those you watch on playback, you know, we're grateful.
Thank you for all the chat. Thank you for all the chat. Big up as always.
Thank you for all the chats. Yeah.
Big up as always. Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, I'm going to say
and sod off Southgate. Yeah, and sod off.